During the earlier days, I would say selling Singapore as a destination was not so much of a problem. We have actually told master students, don't look for internship, because when you graduate with a master's program, get out there, you're going to get a job placement.
What is the campus life like? If you can walk me through a day of a student at EAIM.
Because it's 40 years of history, actually.
Singaporeans are just good at math, that being the stereotype. And then somebody from Singapore commented that, no, we're just good at everything. Welcome to On Spotlight, a podcast series where we shed some light on your foreign education queries. Hi, I'm Jolan Rao, Director at Rao Consultants. Over the years, we've been privileged to walk alongside students as they navigate their study abroad journey, facing questions, excitement, and sometimes uncertainty. That's why we're launching On Spotlight, a podcast where we'll talk with universities, industry experts, and inspiring alumni who are going to share their stories and advices that can help you make informed choices about your future. We have Mr. Kieren Tan. He's the Director for Student Recruitment at East Asia Institute of Management. And he's been in the education industry for 18 odd years, I believe.
Yes.
And he's worked with a lot of institutes over the years. And he comes with a lot of experience. I think you've dealt with so many countries, you've dealt with so many students. So it works as an advantage when you're putting in advice across. Because you've been in this industry for so long, helping students with their admission, what has been the driving factor behind being in this for so long?
Thank you for having me, first of all. It's been a pleasure to be here at Rao Consultant, and I'm so glad you actually asked that question. What is the driving thing? I think it's the passion. When a student sign on a dotted line or pay the course fees, our job is actually not done. So what happens is that at the end, during the graduation ceremony, a student comes up to you, shake your hands, give you a hug, the family gives you a hug, the mother, the father is thanking you, and then you say, thank you. If not for this program, I would not have sent my child to this institution and things like that. So I think that would be the driving force behind a lot of placement in the different institutions that I've been with.
We are in an industry where we're making future for people. We're helping students build their careers. So you think it is the passion of helping students?
Definitely, because they are the pillars of the next generation. Today is not about us, it's about them.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, so the objective of this podcast is we try and go through everything that a student needs to make their decision. We try and go through all the factors that contribute in their decision-making journey. And then what I'll try and throw questions from the student's perspective. So it helps, it should add on for the students. And so we've done quite a few of these, and what I think we've come up with a new idea this time, that we want to have a segment where I will ask you the most asked questions or the frequently asked questions by students. So now I think before we get into talking about EAIM, I think it makes more sense to talk about Singapore as a study abroad destination. Singapore students have aspiration to go study at Singapore, but it's not quite like the big four. Students may want to go study Australia, may want to go US, UK, Canada. How do you think Singapore compares with these other big countries in not only in terms of academics, but all the other opportunities that student can find?
I think in terms of Singapore as a country, there's no need to market Singapore as a country. It's always been placed at the top in the Asia list to say
Correct.
It's a safe country to be. The infrastructure, the educational system is definitely world class.
True.
That's for sure. I'm a proud product of the Singapore educational system, I would say. Back in the days when this was 2002 or even 2003, during the time where the Singapore government said that they want to make Singapore into an educational hub. And that was maybe a couple of years later, I got into the educational industry. But at the same time, I saw a lot of changes, I saw a lot of challenges that comes along with that as well also. So during the earlier days, I would say selling Singapore as a destination was not so much of a problem.
Right.
But as the years gone by, you got new countries coming up, like you were saying, the Big Four. But on top of that, now you actually have European universities coming as
Correct.
well.
Correct.
So
Correct.
there are new and more sexy places, places like Germany, Hungary, even. And now, I would say one of the main force that we should be looking at would actually be China. So I think China has gone through a few phases, and right now they are actually getting students to go into China. They're offering free scholarships. They're offering cheap accommodations. They're offering curriculum that a student can actually adapt to as well. Also, so a lot of students are flocking to China for now. But at the same time, when you say that the pie of the students that is globally trying to travel for education overseas is still that much. But having said, there are new countries coming into it.
Correct.
There are new entrants to this particular market.
Correct.
But I feel that there's still a consistent and also a steady pool of students that are still choosing Singapore as their destination.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
simply because if you go right down to, say, for example, the ranking of our public universities, Asia, top 10,
Correct.
world, top 50.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So you can say that sort of rankings, that sort of teaching pedagogies and things like that sort of rubbed off together with the private institution as well also. Because we know that our university has set such a standard. We want to be there as well also.
Correct.
Yes, so we pushed ourselves in terms of being a private educational system. At the same time, this institution, the pedagogies, the faculty that we actually get for private education, I would say we are also getting actually the adjunct professors. They are teaching in our public university, but at the same time, they're actually also teaching in all the private institutions as well.
Correct.
So to a certain extent, we are trying very hard to keep up the bar that was set so high from our universities.
So what most people usually don't understand, so like you rightly said, you put in a lot of factors that end up as a contributing factor for students to make their decision. A lot of people, when they're advising some students, they might just go look out for eligibility requirement, but then it also goes into the academics, the faculty, the co-curricular, the stay, the sort of travel they can have, the vacation they can have, or the city they're in. I think all of these things make a huge factor. They all are important for students. Okay, so because you said so many countries, and I think China is not really a study abroad destination for Indians, is what
Yes,
I understand.
definitely.
So because the audience we would be catering to would largely be Indian students who are aspiring to study abroad. I think we want to try and put Singapore from the perspective of Indian students. Okay, so what segment of Indian students do you think end up coming to Singapore?
I would say, in fact, we're taking all kinds of Indian students.
Right.
Because the Indian educational system is very much renowned
Right.
for the students that they produce here in India. And they're definitely welcome in all countries,
Right.
all programs, in fact, actually. And I think gone are the days where you say that, they only produced IT graduates. I think nowadays, yes,
There's
in
a
fact,
diversity.
is the diversity there in the programs, the demand for different programs is there as well also. You may also get students who are into the psychology programs, hospitality programs, or even something very unique. Say, for example, an Australian program, you go into something like surf management. So there are a lot of programs out there. But I think what the Indian students are actually looking for in terms of a country, I would say number one would actually be the infrastructure, the educational system that actually guarantees not only the results, but also to say that, when you get out there, when you say that you graduate from Singapore, people know what kind of quality you bring to the table. When you go to an organization to say that, I've graduated in Singapore from a UK university or even a program that is from the UK, but they have actually done in the Singapore campus. What happens is that the recognition is there. Companies, whether is it global, whether is it local, whether is it public, whether is it private, they recognize the degree for sure. I would say that because the standard is actually there.
Correct. So in the last podcast that I did, it was with Paris School of Business, and we talked about a stereotype with the Persian people. I think we call it Persian people. So they have a unique sense of fashion, and then if you're not from Paris, the locals would be able to identify based on how you walk and what you're wearing. So then I got to thinking, okay, for this podcast, maybe we can talk about some stereotypes about Singapore. I was not able to find a lot. Maybe you can share a few. But so one of the articles I was reading, somebody wrote that Singaporeans are just good at math, that being a stereotype. And then somebody from Singapore commented that, no, we're just good at everything. So that's one of the things I could come across. The other thing is Singapore is so clean that even the trash is super clean. How much do you think you're able to relate with this? Is this something?
I would say definitely because due to my portfolio, I actually been traveling Southeast Asia. So recently, I was actually just last year I was in Myanmar, and I was also in Indonesia. Of course, you talk about cleanliness, you talk about the city being clean and all that. No one compares to Singapore, I would say. So imagine yourself as a student, you're put into an environment. It's a conducive environment where you say that, I'm not only looking at academics, I'm also looking at the wellness of the mind at the same time. If, say, for example, your study table is cluttered, that says something about your lifestyle. That says something about your learning patterns. So imagine a clean table, imagine a clean environment. You have clean air, you have a stable government, I would say. So, which means the currency will be stable at the same time. So you take away all these worries. Your focus will be on
education.
Yes, exactly.
You take away all the challenges.
Yes.
Yeah. So Singapore can you think of another stereotype with Singapore? Another thing I read is that you get Wi-Fi access everywhere.
Yes, you get free Wi-Fi everywhere.
Like throughout even on the rural side of the country, if
there's no rural.
It's a concrete jungle, but like let's say outskirts, and then you get Wi-Fi access everywhere in the country.
Yes, data is readily available. It's just a matter of fact whether you are near the borders, then you may actually cross over to Malaysia's Wi-Fi.
Okay, so there's one thing we do with these podcasts is we talk about how the core values of an institute have evolved since its inception. So I think EAIM was established in 1984.
Yes.
And if I'm not wrong, it started as a vocational training center.
Correct.
How do you think that value has changed over time, and how would you sort of compare the EAIM now versus the one back in 1984?
Wow. Tough questions because it's 40 years of history actually.
Yeah, we try and keep it, as
yes. I would say, to put it bluntly, actually, 40 years we have not changed.
Really?
Reason being, the mission, the vision of this company is to actually provide fair education made available to everyone. Oh, wow. So we started out as a vocational IT solution company. So when the company first started out, we had about 15,000 professionals that's been trained by the company.
Okay.
So as the years goes by, we corporatize and we established ourselves as East Asia School of Business. But then as the years goes by, we brought in new university partners. So some of our partners include Harriet Ward University, Queen Margaret as well, De Montfort. So these are actually all university partners that we used to have. But at the same time, we also brought in not only business program as well also. So you could see that we also these days now we have hospitality programs, we have IT programs, we've got psychology programs, business. We also have accounting, finance. I think mostly you name it, we most likely will have it as well. So, but the more niche programs, say for example like fashion design and all that, we may not have. Yeah, but we're also looking into life sciences. So there's a lot of programs as we speak that we offer. But of course, we're also looking to bring in new university partners from either UK, Australia, and even the USA. So we will definitely have more programs to offer the students.
So these associations with international institutes is something we do want to talk about. But I think it makes sense if we get there later on in the podcast. For somebody who's not been to EAIM campus, how would you describe it?
I would describe the campus as bustling, actually. So where is the buzz? The buzz would actually be in the classrooms. So like you were saying just now, Singaporeans are stereotyped to be good in math. But I feel that our system, our curriculum, we have been drilled.
Right.
Yes. So instead of looking at a problem from a different angle, we have been drilled so much that we have only one solution. So this is what is not happening in class.
Okay.
So we try to cultivate the students to have multiple solutions, meaning you look at things from a different perspective. Imagine a lecturer, the person standing in front. Our classroom is not about downloading. It's not about going in there. It's not about taking notes. It's not about saying that, I'm just trying to take in whatever that the guy in the front of the class is actually saying. So for master's class, say for example, this guy in front may have only 10, 15 years of working experience, maybe 20, 25. But if the whole class adds together, I can guarantee you there's more than 50 years of experience in that class alone. So if you're looking from a class point of view, you look at a case study, you look at a portfolio, you got different people from different industries, from different countries as well.
Correct.
So the diversity, the culture, the heritage puts a lot of perspective when you're looking at one particular thing.
Correct.
So you're cultivating multiple solutions.
You're looking at it from all directions because
Yes.
you're just adding perspective from people.
Adding perspective. And then the lecturers will have the experience to actually facilitate, to say that, this is how we round it up. So, yeah.
So that's something interesting you said is students act as one student body to solve a problem or to work on something. And that's something, so this is a conversation I've heard, or this is an argument I've heard where a lot of countries, this is how a lot of countries differ from education system in India, where students are sort of more in the competition with each other instead of working as one unit.
I do understand that problem that a lot of schools are actually facing. So in our classrooms, basically, we have diversities. We have Chinese students, we have students from Indonesia, we have Korean students, we also have students from Myanmar.
Right.
So different countries, they all have different
ideologies.
They have different learning abilities, I would say, actually, in terms of the language barrier, say, for example. So what happens is that the lecturer, or they will be able to facilitate the learning. Everyone learns at different levels. So I am going to, say, for example, pair a student who is more outspoken to someone who has good academic writing skills. And that will actually bring the class to level up the playing field, level up all the levels, and they'll actually learn together. So this is what I meant by this is what is happening in the classrooms.
And this is something I have always believed, and we've also talked about this in another podcast, but this is something I've always believed is the colleagues or the students that you have around you and the faculties you have play a much bigger role than the academics or the curriculum in terms of overall learning, overall development. This is something I personally believe. You can agree or disagree.
I would definitely agree with you, actually. Yes.
Okay.
So when you're in class, you are not just a student as well. You're a friend of someone.
True.
You're a learner as well also.
True.
You are a teacher as
Correct.
well. People will learn things from you. Yes. You're a voice of your own. You represent your country. You represent your culture actually in that particular class. Yeah,
Correct.
so you can see there will be a lot of different representation. There will be a lot of different voices, and this is where I'd say it facilitates the learning actually. So imagine you take a case study, for example, somebody who has fresh graduate in the program, and they say that, oh, I've actually done a volunteer job previously. This can actually resonate with me. These are my views. And then compared to somebody who has been in for a manager for about say 5 years, they are into management, mid management, I would say, and they will say that oh, given my portfolio, I've dealt with this before, and this is the solution, kind of things. So you have another view right there. And then you have somebody who's, say, maybe, for example, a C-suite or even a director in a company, and they may have more than 5 years or even 10 years of experience, and they will say that, oh, okay, this has been done like that. Your ways has been done. I've tried it. I've done your way as well also. This will work. This will not work. How about this? You get all different. You get pulled apart. And then you come back together. You offer a solution. You offer something back to class. So this is what I meant.
No, it makes complete sense to me. Okay, so I think we want to go back because then this podcast might end up being 2-3 hours. so maybe we want to go back to campus as a whole, and then so what are some of the amenities you think EAIM has?
Okay. We have seminar rooms, smart classrooms, auditorium. There's a huge football field at the back of it. So student activities, groups. We also have science labs as well. So we've got a gym as there as well. So it's not just about textbooks, notes, study, library, and all that stuff. We also take into consideration the social aspect of the particular students. You're so far away from home, you do get lonely sometimes, but when you're in class, you're not only learning, you're making friends as well also. So there's also chance for student groups to actually get together. So they will all start off with students from the same country. Say, for example, our on-campus, the recently set up the student Indonesian group. So they are all from different parts of Indonesia. But because they get together, they're in the same school, but they're from different parts of Indonesia. But as soon as they start the language, everybody is like, hey, I haven't seen you for the longest time. They all become pals, and things start to blossom from there actually. So the students can actually use the facilities, whether is it for sports, whether is it for socializing and things like that. So we take care of the students in terms of providing the particular platform, the space for them to not only learn but also to socialize and at least have a bit of a balance kind of overseas life.
Well, I don't really follow it, but there's, I think, some pie with the 7 things you want to do in life, and then so you've taken that into account, and then you try and cater to everything you can. So out of all the things you said, what is your favorite sport at the campus?
My favorite sport, I would say, it used to be football.
Okay.
But since they returfed the field, it's got a bit uneven.
Okay.
So I thought the field would be much better playing frisbee. Yes. It's a new sport actually, because it comes in huge group.
Oh, wow.
So it's not an individual sport. It's actually a team sport. So it allows the students to come in groups, make their own cliques, and really sweat it out and enjoy the game.
For most students, I think we talked about a lot of things surrounding the academics. I think academics is still going to be what most students look out for. Now, so from what I understand, a lot of students choose EAIM because of the pathway opportunities. And then what maybe we can try and do is we can compare education completely at Singapore campus and then what it's like to do a couple of years at Singapore and then a couple of years in the UK or in Australia or in the US. Okay, if you could name some of the countries and some of the institutes that you guys work with, and maybe the remaining of them will put, because there's a big number. I think there's 30 institutes you guys work with.
Yes, there's 30 actually. Yeah.
So we'll put the list on the screen, but if you could
Okay.
name a few
Yes.
and what it's like for the students.
Okay. So glad you asked about the pathway. For India students, I will actually say that if you are finished with 10 years education, you can actually, you have two options actually. One would actually be to get into EAIM's college programs, which is the A levels,
Right.
or the other option will actually be the foundation program. That will actually leads to university year one, and then you will do a 3-year degree. And for the year one, what happens if, say, for example, you are doing the program from University of Wolverhampton, that is our university partner. And if you were to do the program in the UK, it will take a slight bit longer, and you only finished the program, and then you will only be getting the certificate. But in EAIM, year one, you actually get a certificate, you get a diploma certificate, and then year two, you get an advanced diploma certificate. And then the final year, you actually get the university degree conferred to you. So upon completion of the advanced diploma, which is actually your year two, students can actually be articulated into multiple countries, UK, say for example, Australia, even New Zealand, or even the USA.
Right.
USA, we are in collaboration with Benedictine College in the UK. The list is too long, so I'll just maybe name a few.
Aston, Wolverhampton.
Yes,
and
I'll just
all-
name a few that maybe they are familiar with.
Right.
Dundee, say for example, Liverpool, Bangor University as well, and for Australia, I would say places like Tasmania University, University of South Australia, Central Queensland, maybe say Murdoch, say for example, and for New Zealand, it will be Lincoln University, as well as Victoria Wellington. So these are actually good universities, which they recognize the year two certificates awarded by EAIM. Yes. But of course, if you don't have aspiration to go to these countries, you can actually stay
In Singapore.
within Singapore,
Right.
stay with EAIM, and actually complete the bachelor's final year degree. And this degree is actually awarded by University of Wolverhampton.
So in I think one of the bigger differences, or two big differences, is one is the expense. I'm assuming because living cost in the other countries, I'm assuming, is higher than Singapore. Would you say that's true?
I would say that is pretty true.
And then the other is the exposure you're getting of going to multiple countries in your study abroad destination.
Yes. So imagine you're in Singapore, and the materials, the resources from the UK university. So things that is made available to you as a student will actually be more of the West. So imagine if you're looking at a case study, imagine you're in UK or you're in the US. Some US companies, the first thing that comes about would definitely be Apple, Tesco, Walmart, for sure, Coca-Cola, all
Right.
these are household names actually. But imagine you're in Singapore. The program actually has resources from the West, but these are real life case studies from the East. So
Right.
we are also looking at Asia companies. This allows you to actually combine the East as well as the West.
So this is something I've seen a lot of business schools do is often when you go to a lot of good institutes, they make the mistake of only giving case studies of their environment. And lately I've seen a lot of good institutes giving case studies from multiple countries, multiple ecosystems, and then that I think helps students tune up a bit. In order, starting with the least popular for undergraduate, what are the top 5 most popular programs amongst international students?
So glad you asked the question. Coming in at number 5, I would actually say is hospitality, tourism. 4 would be I would say business,
Okay.
but somehow business, I feel that the new era of business have actually branched off to maybe things that include HR, marketing, finance, accounting, or even business psychology. And coming in at third, I would say is data science. Coming in at second, cybersecurity. And of
Okay.
course, number one right now, you go out there, everyone is talking about it, is artificial intelligence.
And you think AI has come in at number one really recently, or
Yes.
is this a trend over last 2 years, or is this?
Okay, data science used to be maybe we say 10 years ago, and then governance started to come in, and then that's where the cybersecurity comes in.
Okay.
But as now, everyone is just trying to make their job easier, and that's the reason I think why AI has been so popular everywhere. So everyone is trying to integrate AI into a lot of the daily lives, basically. Yes.
True.
Yes, and of course, sorry.
Sorry, please go on.
The programs that we offer actually is not only academics. There are also industrial certification. People like AWS, Palo Alto, as well as EC Council.
And how do you think this compares with the students that come to EIM with the intent of doing a pathway? And so, example, if I'm coming to EIM and I want to go to the UK through a pathway, what are the programs I'm more likely to pick? Is the list going to stay the same, or is there going to be a difference in choices?
I would say they will actually stay the same. In fact, they will be more determined to say that, I want to complete the program, whether is it going to the UK or is it staying in Singapore. Because the curriculum, what happens with our curriculum is that it's not only developed by academics, but it's also at the same time we do co-development with industrial practitioner. So imagine you're a young lecturer. Today, I'm doing the job. Tomorrow is delivered to you in class. So you are not only looking at what the industrial actually needs, you're also looking at what is going to be trendy. So by the time you graduate, you know that you will be valued in the market. You're basically business ready when you graduate.
Makes sense. Okay, let's say I am a high school student. I am interested in the domain of management. So I think we want to compare pros and cons. I want to pursue some management program for my undergraduate. Let's say if I came to EAIM and did my entire 4 year, I think management is a 4 year with Singapore.
3-year program.
3 year. So let's say if I did my entire 3 year program at Singapore versus if I came to Singapore and then I went to, let's say, University of Wolverhampton, how do you think that compares for me?
Oh, okay.
And what would you recommend? What would you recommend
Okay.
between the two, and how should I be deciding between the two?
If you compare the program, there's actually nothing to compare.
It's the
because it's the same. What is being delivered in Singapore campus is the same as you have done it in the UK campus.
Right.
I think what's the difference would very much to everybody. Let's answer once and for all. Everyone is always looking for a job placement upon completion of their bachelor's degree.
Right.
So let's be honest. When you finished your degree in the UK, you're given X amount of time. I don't want to say how long, but there's a reason why you're given X amount of time, because it takes a long time to get a job in the UK. But when it comes to Singapore and all that, the Career Services Office, our Student Services Office, you actually have full support from these offices. So imagine you are in your final year, 6 months, 3 months before you graduate, the officers will be after you. You get your resumes out there. We will help students in terms of writing their resumes, in terms of getting ready their cover letters, and also maybe interview skills. Certain things to do, certain things not to do during an interview, and things like that. And of course, there are career fairs that we invite our industrial partners to actually come on campus, so they have first-hand access to our graduates. They can handpick the better ones. They can handpick those that are maybe on the dean's list and things like that. So by the time you graduate, you should at least have 1 to 2 offers.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh wow. And so this is one of the comparisons that you think you would have between studying in the UK and studying in Singapore. What else do you think can be a factor or can be a difference? I think the degree is also the same, correct?
Yes,
It's the
degree
same
is
degree you get
exactly
at the
the
same
same
place.
actually, yes. Yes, degree is exactly the same. Program is exactly the same. I would say expenses. Initially, when you first land in Singapore and all that, you will find that accommodation is expensive. You have a meal outside is expensive. You go watch a movie is expensive. Everything is expensive in Singapore.
Okay.
But as time goes by, what happens is that you may not be staying in a hostel no more. So you meet your classmates. Students from the same country would normally get together, and they will go out. They would actually rent a flat or even rent a condominium, public housing, or even private condominiums. So that significantly actually cuts the price,
Really?
of cost of living down
Oh,
by
wow.
a lot.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay. And so from what I understand is EIM has really strong industry connect. If you could name a few popular organizations that you guys closely work with.
Because we are pretty strong in terms of the hospitality tourism, so you are looking at major 5-star hotel, international chain as well, even boutique hotels, and or even service apartments, or even cruise liners and all that. We have strong connections with Deloitte, EC Council, Singtel, even McDonald's actually. So all these are actually our industrial partners.
Oh wow. Oh wow. And how impactful do you think having such a strong connect, or in what sense is this impactful for the students?
Oh, definitely. Because they are from the industry. So they will be able to tell you what is needed tomorrow. The curriculum that is today may not be relevant
True.
tomorrow. They are hiring our graduates. So they are actually getting firsthand what the school has produced. So they always constantly feedback to say that, this graduate is good, that graduate is of average, and things like that. The modules that they mention may not be relevant in the next 6 months or 9 months, and so there's always a constant kind of
You
feedback.
get real-time feedback.
Yes, real-time feedback, and of course we are reactive to such feedbacks as well. So we are constantly also changing the curriculum to make sure that we produce students who are actually corporate ready when they graduate. They are business ready, so they are not lagging behind or they find it hard to even get a job placement.
So I think we talked about how EAIM helps students with the job placement post graduation, or 6 months before they are about to graduate. What about during their education? Do you guys help students with their part-time or internship opportunities?
Okay, for tourism hospitality program, we actually have internship, but this is only in the year 2.
Okay.
Yes. So in other words, this is a university regulation actually, because year 1, you're more of theory. You're more of gaining the knowledge.
Correct.
Yeah. And then year 2, that's where you actually start to implement your practical, your more hands-on, your internship. And then of course the final year, everyone wants to be left alone in the final year. So that it's university is actually programmed the program in such a way. And in terms of master's students, say for example, if you're looking for internship and all that, we have actually told master students don't look for internship, because when you graduate with a master's program, get out there, you're going to get a job placement. You're not going to be offered internship.
Oh well. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's full-time employment that we try to encourage the student, push the students to actually get out there.
And how does the post-study work permit work with Singapore? I think you can get between 2 and 5 years. How do you get a longer post-study work permit?
Okay. Singapore regulation comes in very much. Immigration is very, very strict in terms of if you're on a student pass, you can't do part-time work. unfortunately.
Oh, you can't.
You can't actually. Yes.
Really? I thought it was some 16 hours or something that you.
16 hours is only for the public university and a special list of
Oh,
institution.
oh.
There will be 8 institutions on this list.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we are not on that list.
Not yet. Okay.
Private institution will not get onto that list.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So typical people that you will see on that list will actually be institution that has campuses, overseas institution with campus in Singapore. So being a local owned business, we're not on that list, unfortunately. This has always been the big elephant in the room. I would say it's a drawback, actually. There's only 2 drawbacks to this particular system. One, students will not be able to do part-time work.
Right.
2, there's no post-graduation visa made available
Right.
compared to other countries. But the reason why the government has placed such an importance on this particular regulation is very simple. When you're on a student visa, your job, your focus should just be academics. Get graduated. So that is most important. And what happens with a curriculum that not only delivers the academic part, but we are also training you skill-wise, soft skills, knowledge-wise, and you will be ready for a job placement after graduation. So this is what we are trying to push against students or having to say that you cannot work part-time and all that. Yeah.
So a lot of students go to study abroad with the intent of getting good work opportunities. But with Singapore, it's a certain, you only come here if you want A grade learning, you want A grade education. And okay. So is this, how big of a deciding factor do you think this is for students?
I would say if they know the number of hours that they are allowed to work, they would definitely not think about work, actually. Because in actual fact, there's a list of institutions that allows, if the student pass is allowed to work, they only allowed 16 hours a week. So you divide that by 7 days a week, take away all the study times and all that, actual hours, how many hours in that week you are allowed to work. And if you're looking at this kind of part-time jobs, so it's more of like cash jobs. So these are very odd timings, I would say. So instead of getting a proper rest to be ready for tomorrow's class, you're out there, you're slogging yourself and you're not concentrated. Basically, you'll be distracted to a lot of things.
Correct.
So the government, in this sense, I would say that, I would rather you focus on your studies because I have given you a student visa. You want a work visa? Yes, after you graduate. And that's the reason why the government recognizes all these programs. We recognize the program, we give you the student pass, you complete the studies, switch to a work visa.
Makes sense. Okay, what are some of the extracurricular and student-led initiatives at EAIM? If you could just talk about a few.
Wow. First of all, there's the sports. Badminton is getting into an in thing now. There's dance club as well also.
Is there some entity for international students? Is there some?
Oh yes, definitely. We try to get involved the students with our local association as well also. So just recently we had the Purple Parade. We also volunteered at disabled homes, old folks homes as well also. So there's actually a lot of activities for students to not only socially enjoy, but also for sports. And also at the same time, they get some of this giving back kind of mentality. I think a lot of parents would be actually interested to say that, wow, my kid has done that. you tell the stories, you post some of the pictures. Some of the parents was like, oh, I'm surprised. I didn't know my child can actually do that.
Oh, wow. What is the campus life like? If you can walk me through a day of a student at EAIM?
Okay, I would say classes will normally start about, say, 9:30. You go on for about a 3-hour class, but in between, of course, there's maybe 1 or 2 breaks, and then you break for lunch. What happens with international students is that you have to be on campus minimum 5 hours a day, actually. So Monday to Friday, 3 hours in class. It could be a morning class. It could be an afternoon class. But additional on top of that 3 hours, there's actually 2 hours of self-studies and even tutorials as well. Yes. So in fact, you'll be pretty much engaged on campus. Yes.
So we'll do one segment where we talk about most searched questions by students. What are the entry requirement for international students in Singapore?
Entry requirement, if you have completed your 10 years education, you get into the foundation program. You've completed your 12 years education, you can apply directly to year 1 degree.
So I think English is the national language of Singapore?
English is the
Not national
business
language?
language. National language is actually Malay.
Oh, correct. But then is English not the language
Yes,
which is
definitely.
recognized?
The English, the medium of teaching is definitely English.
With all institutes, I think most of the institutes
Yes,
follow
all the
English.
institute in Singapore. Yes.
Okay. Is EAIM globally recognized?
I would say definitely, just by the list that I shared just now. So our year 1, year 2 diploma and advanced diploma is definitely recognized to go into the different parts of the world and the different universities as well. And when we say that these are actually 100% coursework programs, what happens is that we are developing the skills, and while others are going on about theories and all that, this is the skills part that we're actually developing. So say for example, the theory, you know the theory, you will score. You know the theory and you know how to implement, you're going to score maybe a 3 out of 5. You know the theory, you know how to implement, but at the same time you can cite the limitations or how are you going to integrate into your future, into your organization, into your business even, then that would be like a 5 out of 5. So in terms of 100% coursework and all that, a lot of parents will be worried, as there's no exams. How can my child, how do you know that my child
Is doing well.
understands what's being taught and all that? Yes. So this is what goes on actually.
Okay, do you have a favorite alum story or do you have a success story of what a student has done post-graduating from EIM?
I will tell a story that will relate to Rao consultant actually.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's a China national.
Okay.
And he was actually our alumni for a diploma program. And upon completion of his diploma, he actually felt that I need to spread the word, and he became a student recruitment agent. So he started to bring, first of all, families and friends and all that. But as the business grows, he now covers more than half of China. And apparently he's become a top performer for EAIM, bringing
Oh, wow.
China students
Oh, wow.
over the years.
Oh, wow.
And currently, he's doing our University of Wolverhampton International MBA program.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Yes. So that's just one story I really, really like to share. Yeah, he's an alumni. Now he's going to graduate. He's going to become
It's
double
going to help
alumni. Yes.
institute now.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, wow. What do you think you guys do to stay in touch with your alum? Is there like an alum network platform?
As much as we want to, we're trying to get a charter running actually. So in terms of being engaged with alumni and all that, we have like quarterly newsletters and things like
Oh, wow.
we send out to the alumni. And
Oh, wow.
of course, students who have actually graduated, they always have we've always been asking them for testimonials as well as feedback. This particular project that we want to get into as well also. So that would actually include the parents in the interview as well. So basically what we're trying to do is to actually let the story tell the story themselves actually. So in terms of how the parents feel, what has this program done to my child? Has he or she become more independent? Has she become more vocal? Has she got a different take in life and things like that? How has this program, how has going to Singapore, how has it studying in EAIM changed the child? So we're trying to run things like that with our alumni program.
Oh, wow. Oh,
So we
wow.
are constantly engaging the alumni, I would say.
Oh, wow. So we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, we talked about how the core values of EIM have stayed the same over past 40 years. How do you think they're going to be evolving over the next, let's say, a decade or so with the AI revolution coming in? How do you think the teaching patterns are going to change or the curriculums are going to change?
I would say we will pretty much stay the same, but there's definitely going to be necessary changes because I think in the educational industry, the only thing constant is actually changed. So
That,
to
oh, wow.
to
Yeah.
put it in a weird way, I would say is that we are very reactive to the situation, to the current trend and things like that. So if the industry needs certain things, we are reactive to it. And if the challenges that we faced, we are going to be reactive to it as well. Yes.
Okay, so I think we've come to the sort of end of the little chit chat that we had. It has been fun. Now, I think there's one last thing I'd like to ask you. Let's say if amongst the viewers somebody's interested for coming to EIM, what advice would you have for them? If there's one advice you would like to give to somebody who's planning to come to Singapore or come to EIM, what would it be?
You can call this number below the screen or okay. I think first of all, I would say that you need to get the facts straight. Google about Singapore. Go to the school website available below the screen here. Find out what exactly do you want in life, actually, I would say. Because you may hear from your teachers, you may hear from your student counselor to say that, oh, you're suitable for marketing, oh, you're suitable for a business program, oh, you're suitable for a IT program, things like that. Because you are good in your math or because you are good in your physics, you should go into a bio science. Take all that aside, ask yourself, where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? And you are looking at the 5-year junction. When you have completed the program, what program would it be? And if you're at the 10-year junction, you have completed your degree, you have worked 5 years. Where are you at that point in time? Do you need to have a master's program? Are you going to be happy in whatever you're doing, actually? So the students need to sit down, really, ask themselves what they really want, number one. Number two, I would say, is to look at the different programs, because you can demand from the program as well. You need to know what benefits from such a program. Why this particular institution? And at the same time, you can also ask, I'm benefiting from the program, but is the program going to benefit from me as well? So it's a kind of two-way question, actually. So there's a lot of things to actually weigh. One thing I've not put on this list is actually cost.
Right.
Yes. The reason being, you can never put a price on education.
Oh, wow. So, what is the overall fee structure like, and what are the scholarship opportunities that you think you have?
Okay. Because we are celebrating our 40-year Ruby anniversary for our University of Wolverhampton programs, we all have a study grant up to about 10,000 Singapore dollars. But at the same time, there's also scholarships that will be made available to India students as well. Scholarship will ranges from 25% all the way to 100% full scholarship, actually. So in order to qualify for the scholarship, student will actually need to score at least 90%. And of course, you will need to have your national results. At the same time, there will be an interview by the academic department. And also there will be an aptitude test at the same time to see whether if student, I wouldn't say deserve, but to see if students is suitable academically for the program, or even say professionally for a master's program.
Thank you so much for coming. It has been a pleasure, and I think I've learned a lot. I'm sure students watching would have also learned a lot.
Yes.
And this should be enough to put perspective as to what it's like to study in Singapore and what it's like to study at EAIM.